go to basic and 9/11 happens while in basic. And we were actually back in our rooms. We were in the barracks, and we were doing a cleaning day. And the drill sergeant comes running in with the TV on the stand, the big thing. Yeah. He comes running in with it. We're like, this isn't right. Like, we're not watching TV here. And he throws it in the front and he turns it on, and you saw the second plane hit. And we're like, oh.
Yeah, something's happening.
He's like, this is real.
Hey everybody, welcome back to an episode of The Why. I am your host, Dylan Mullins, presented by All American Heart Studios and All American Roof Pros. I almost forgot the name of my own company. Today, sitting down with somebody I think I'm going to call a friend, because I think we line on a lot of stuff. Mr. Joe Wesner with Ultimate Veteran Adventures. I said that right? I said
yes, sir.
Right?
You got it. You're good.
Perfect, man.
I'm good to go.
Well, Joe, give me your elevator pitch, man. Kind of give me a little synopsis of your life. Who are you?
Oh man, where to start? Again, Joe Wesner with Ultimate Veteran Adventures. I served just under 14 years in the Army.
Thank you for your service.
Before being medically retired. I appreciate it. Thank you. I would have done 25, 30 until they kicked me out. My goal was to stay until they kicked me out, and I did it. They kicked me out just under 14 years. Medically, no, not.
Yeah.
Good to go. Tried to fight it to stay in, but I was too banged up. They said no. Got out. Didn't really know what to do, and outdoors was my thing, and I decided to. It saved my life, literally saved my life, and we can get into that later if you want. But I started a nonprofit. So I got out in 2014, and then in 16, 17ish, right around between 16 and 17 there, we started the nonprofit, Ultimate Veteran Adventures, and it's just my way of still serving.
I love it, man. I love it. So you local to this area here? Or?
I am now. We moved here 5.5 years ago, roughly, from Eastern Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So we moved all the way out.
So you're from Eastern PA originally?
I am.
Okay, what part?
So I'm from Hamburg, but most people don't ever. It's a little, a little country town.
One of the little side of the whole town, the hill towns, right?
The claim to fame now is the world's largest Cabela's is in Hamburg.
No kidding.
Yeah, and they built it in a field I used to hunt.
That's
so
wild.
It's kind of weird,
That's
but
wild.
It is what it is. So Lehigh Valley.
Okay.
Allentown.
Yep.
That area.
I've got a friend that's in Greenville.
Okay.
So a little ways north, right?
East Greenville. Okay. Is that what it is, or is it
East
Greenville?
Yeah, East Greenville.
Okay. Yeah, East Greenville's south.
Okay.
Yeah, a little south of Allentown.
Okay.
Where I'm at. My cousin actually lives right in that area.
Awesome, man. Well, that's good stuff, man. Yeah. It's a small world. So what brought you to Mansfield?
My wife. Yeah. We had our second kid, and she had moved out to Pennsylvania for a job and whatever else after college, and we met there. So ended up getting married, had a house there, and had our second child, and said, hey, let's move closer to family.
I love it.
I don't really have much family left, so it's all her family, and she's from this area, Bellevue. So
okay, I actually live in Norwalk.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah, she's.
We probably have a connection.
I'm sure, yeah.
We'll have to talk off air because I got some family that lives in Bellevue.
Okay.
As well, but cool beans, man. Yeah. Well, let's I want to go back on something you already said. You said hunting or the outdoors saved your life.
Yep.
Let's kind of walk through that a little bit.
Sure.
Walk me through what that experience was like and what that's all about.
So after I was injured, I got told I would be lucky if I ever walked again, and walked right and normal and did the things I used to do. I could barely move, and I went into the office. So take a step back. I was always outdoorsman. Hunting, fishing, that was my thing. That's all I ever did. I'd come home from school, I'd drop my school bag, and I'd grab my gun, and I'd be out in the woods.
Yeah.
That was just what I did. That was who I was. And, being told that kind of, that's a bummer,
it
is. I mean, so I was like, well, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And I was in a bad spot, lost a lot of friends, and just, I was kicked out of the military when I didn't want to get out. Like I had a great career going. I'm all banged up now. I can't do things. So I was in a bad spot. And I went into my counselor's office. It was a social worker or whatever she was. And she goes, "What's your long-term goal? What's your short-term goal?" I was like, "Well, I have a short-term goal. I'm going to climb a tree stand next hunting season." And she laughed at me. She's like, "You'll never do that. Do a realistic goal." I'm like, "That's what I'm going to do." She's like, "You will not do that." I was like, "Gotcha." And I left.
I love it.
And next year I was in a tree stand. I climbed a tree stand. And it took me a while. It was tough.
Yeah.
My cousin was with me, and he dropped me off at the base of the stand. I'm looking at him, I'm like, "Man, I don't know how I'm going to do this." I was like, "I'm going to get up there." He's like, "Text me when you're in." And he went to his stand.
Yeah.
And it was like an hour it took me to climb a tree stand, but I got it. I made it. I got in there. And I texted him. He's like, "Man, I was so worried. I was coming over for you." And I'm like, "I'm here. I'm good."
I love it.
I was like, "I don't know if I'm getting it down, but I'm in."
I'm up here. Yeah.
I was like, "Once I'm here, I'm
fire
in."
Department, get my ass out of here.
We're here all day.
Yeah, I'm planning, bro. I'm planning.
Yep. But yeah, I did it.
What was that emotion like?
Wow, I was so tired.
Yeah, of course, man. Beat your
I mean,
ass, right?
I just felt good. I was like, I did it. I did it.
Yeah.
And then the whole time, though, I'm sitting in there, I'm like, well, what could I do different to make it up quicker?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I did this and I did this. So I'm just in my head just going over, like, how do I do this? What do I do for the next time?
Yeah.
And then the next time, and the next time. So, I mean, I was so happy that I made it. And it was kind of a I told you so moment, you know.
Victory moment.
Yeah.
It's funny because our haters can fuel everything. Like, I don't think it's necessarily naysayers is probably the better way to say that, because I don't think she was necessarily being a hater. She was just trying to bring you back to reality.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to go to her office so bad. I've never seen her again.
Yeah.
Never seen her again. But it's in my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I ever see you, look at me now.
That's awesome, man. And what's really cool about that, in my opinion, as we talk through that, and a lot of times, we have kids, or as when we were kids, somebody told us we couldn't do something. And for you, it was at a later point in life. I mean, you were in your probably mid-30s at that point.
Absolutely. Yep.
And you got somebody telling you can't do something after you've been able to do it your entire life. The gut shot on that, it has to be brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a kick. I mean, it really was. And I was like, well, all right, and I'm going to prove you wrong. And that's what drove me. But the outdoors is what drove me.
Yes.
You know, I was in that spot, and I got a call from another organization, and I had a gun in my hand. Like, I was done. Like, I was going through everything. Like, this is how I'm going to end it. This is what I'm going to do. This is when, how, where. And I got a call. They're like, "Hey, you want to go on a fishing trip?" I'm like, "I wish. I would love to. Can't." They're like, "Yeah, we'll get you out there." I'm like, "There's no way." They're like, "We'll get you out here. Trust me." It's like, all right. So I show up. They got me out there, got on a boat, went out, we fished. I'm like, okay, there's a way to do this. And then, again, this is before that tree stand incident. So I'm like, all right. And I'm starting to put things together. I'm like, all right, I can do this. All right, let's do this trip. Let's do this. Let's do that. And next thing you know, here I am.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's crazy, and like I told you, I don't know where you're at on your faith, but it's amazing how God comes to us in our moments when we're, they say because I literally was just having this conversation this morning, and I don't believe in coincidences. There's no such thing. It's just irrelevant. Like, I've been through enough in my life. There's no such thing. But the teacher's always quiet during the test. And when we're in a test, it's because it's going to become our testimony ultimately. Yeah. And it's crazy because had you not gone through everything you went through, you wouldn't be where you are. Exactly.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Everything.
As shitty as it is.
And we don't know that reason. We don't know why. We don't know how to overcome it at the time. But it's going on for that reason. And whether it be for the next day or 10 years down the road, that happened for that reason.
Yes, everything.
Absolutely.
Whether it's you wake up late.
Yep.
That could be because you were going to get in a bad car accident.
Yeah.
You know, God, it's been probably about 18 months ago. No, I've been married. Yeah, it was about 18 months ago. It was a week before my wedding. And I was coming down here to Mansfield, and I was on State Route 13, and the car in front of me, this little Chevy Trax.
Mhm.
Came into my lane on State Route 13. I'm doing 65 mile an hour, my F-250,
Yep.
big diesel
Yep,
pickup,
yep.
and hits this Jeep and flips this Jeep 6 times. Like literally right in front of me. And now, in perspective, I can go, because I was late that day.
Yeah.
I don't remember why.
Yeah.
I know I was late. I was late for something. And had I been 5 seconds earlier.
That would have been you.
Yes. And quite frankly, it probably wouldn't have injured me, right? Yeah. But I look at it because, little Chevy Trax versus an F-250, I don't know because it's a variable, right?
Yeah.
And luckily the girl had walked away with no scratches that flipped. I jumped out of my truck and I run up to the car that flipped because the other car was all smashed up.
Yeah.
And I get that girl out of that car and I'm like, "Are you okay?" All she had was a scratch on her pinky, and her dad. Wow. And the story's giving me goosebumps thinking about it. And I know I'm like chopping it up. It's not very polished. And I apologize for that. But like, her dad had given her that car. That was her dad's car. Yeah. He had passed away. He was watching out for her that day to make sure that she was going to be okay. Granted, the car's totaled. I mean, it literally flipped 6 times. I watched it roll. But on top of that, man, I think, like, in perspective, as I'm looking at this little tiny Chevy Trax boxing, I'm like, if they hit my diesel pickup, I would have killed them. Yeah. They'd be dead. Yeah. Like, there was no, like, that 12,000-pound truck versus that 3,000-pound car. It doesn't work. It does not compute. Yeah. And so God was looking out for them, and God was looking out for the lady in front of me. God was looking out for me. Yep. And, like, this is all, like, just weird stuff. And, like, the guy come out from one of the houses. He's like, "I'm getting married today." And I'm like, "Well, I'm getting married, like, literally on Friday or on Saturday." Crazy. And just, like, all this stuff just came to head in that moment. Jeez. And I remember the funniest part. Paramedics come up to me. They're like, "We need help." I'm like, I'm not your guy. Yeah. Like, I know basic CPR, man. Right. They're like, "Go get blankets out of the thing." So I go get blankets, and I come back, and I hear a dog barking in the car that was all smashed up. And the guy had actually climbed out the window, and he was all jacked up. I think he's okay now because I knew one of the paramedics, and I'd asked, I'm like, "Is everybody okay from that?" And they're like, they're screaming about this dog in this car, and I didn't hear it barking. And I'm like, "Man, if I find a dead dog, dude, that's gonna that's why it's soft spot." Yeah, man. Like, same. Yeah. I could probably be okay with seeing a dead human over a dead dog. Absolutely. As shitty as that is for me to say, I can't do it. I'm the same way. Yeah. I'm like, man, I gotta go look at this dog, and I gotta tell these people their dog's dead. And I opened that door, and that dog was ferocious. I don't know how the hell he didn't have a scratch on him. I shut that door so dang fast. I'm like, nope. The dog's fine. The dog's fine. But that's just it, though. Like, too many people think that life happens for them and not to them and not for them. And everything we do happens for us. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Every single thing, every trial, every tribulation, every good thing, every bad thing, it happened for you. Yep. But that belief in some form of a higher power, there has to be some form of divine intervention. I mean, absolutely. We're coming off, and I don't care where you're at politically. It's a big story with President Trump. Yeah. Literally, and you being in the service. Yep. I mean, my brother, he was talking about that because he's a master marksman. I was a sniper. Okay. That was one of my jobs. Yeah. 130 yards is a freaking... That's a chip shot. That's basic training shit. It's absolutely nothing. They literally teach you 200... Where they say you had 300 yards of basic for everybody. 300. Yeah. And you literally, the best sniper in the world couldn't graze an ear. Like, you know what I mean? Just the divine intervention, that moment. Yep. That millisecond. Yes. Of just turning that millisecond. Just to do something. And had he turned at a different point or... Yep. That's just wild. Yeah. You have to believe in something. Absolutely. I had a friend ask me one time, he goes, "Do you think everyone wants to be led?" What do you think about that question? Do you think everyone wants to be led? Yeah, you're a leader of an organization. So, like... And I'm sure you're probably the leader of your household. You seem like a good, strong man. Do you think everyone honestly wants to be led? I think deep down, yes. I think so, too. Yeah. I think so, too. That's why we seek something more. Yeah. I don't think people will always say it, but I think deep down, every single person wants to be led. Internally, yes. And then externally, they project this position of power they don't want to because they think that they know better. Yep. Right? Yep. And that's where you get people when they make the atheist argument. Yeah. It's like you just are fighting it that much.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And this isn't a faith-based podcast. I just feel like that's where the conversation's
Sure.
going. To me, in that instant, when you are arguing with me about something like that, if I'm wrong, you're still right. But if you're wrong, it's you.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't. I've never been able to argue with an atheist.
You can't.
It's just.
But there's no atheist in a foxhole.
No, not at all. Everyone's like, oh God, oh God.
Please just help me right now.
Who?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, oh Jesus, my name's Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Jesus?
Yes, exactly, man. Well,
Yeah.
and you get that right. I mean, I'm sure that you probably served with guys
Oh.
that just, there's no,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, we're here and we're gone.
Yep.
We're
Absolutely.
here and we're gone. And once again, that may be it. And I'm not saying that they're wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel a little bit better while I live here if I just have some kind of belief.
Yeah.
And on top of that, man, like, you can't disregard the fact that all of these little details within our lives, the intricacy and how they're woven together.
There's something else. I mean, there is.
It has to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to be.
Our pastor, and I wish I knew the numbers. I cannot for the life of me remember the numbers. Speaking about the Bible, the one a couple weeks ago, or a month or so ago, and how it was written over a certain amount of
Over
time.
600 years.
600 years, and then by like 30-something different authors.
Yep.
But they all come together and have the exact same thing.
Over 30 generations.
And how many different countries that they wrote it in different languages.
It wasn't
and
like they had telephones
it's
back
the same
then.
thing. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so wild.
So how are you going to argue that? I mean...
It's so weird and like, you just have to embrace it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just have to embrace it.
It's there. I mean, the proof is there.
It's in the pudding, man.
Yeah,
Like,
just read it.
It's just you being ignorant or thinking that you know better is what it comes down to.
Yep.
Well, I want to, if you know, I read in the show notes, you know, you seem to, and obviously with 14 years in the military, got out in 14, so you joined pre 9/11.
I did. Well, so yeah, technically, so I joined May 31st of 2001.
Okay.
Nothing going on. May of 01.
Yeah, you're thinking, man, I'm going to have an easy 20 years, bro.
So I played college football and baseball. That was what I did. Had a full ride.
What position?
I was a linebacker.
Nice.
And then for baseball, I was a third baseman.
Nice.
So, I had a full ride. Went to Kutztown University and played baseball and football. And broke my ankle playing basketball at the park.
No kidding.
Yeah, I went into the athletic director's office, and he's like, "Yeah, you're done. Like you can't do that. Like you can't.
Yeah, you can't play.
You can't
recover
do that.
from
You know.
Like,
so, and it was in the contract where I couldn't pick up sports or anything like that.
Really?
In case I got hurt.
Well, of course, yeah. They're putting an investment in you. It makes sense.
Yeah. So they're like, "Well, your scholarships are pulled. You're done." I was like, well, I'm not paying for college. It's stupid. You know, I did it the semester. I finished the semester. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not paying for this.
Yeah.
So I quit
was here to
school.
football, man.
I was here to play football and baseball. Like, that was what I did. And I quit. I was like, I'm done. I'll go to work. Worked a couple jobs. And I was like, I want to go back to college. And I went to the Army. I was like, I've always wanted to be in the Army ever since I was little.
Give it my 4 years.
Yeah,
I
want the GI Bill. I want the money for college.
Yep.
I'll go about my life. Went into the recruiter. I was like, I want to join. It was his first day. I still talk to the recruiter.
No
It was
kidding.
his first day, and
You
I
were his
walked
first
in.
guy?
I was his first one. Yep, his first day on the job. I walked in the office. I'm like, hey man, I want to join. He's like, seriously? I'm like, yeah. He's like, wait. They told me I have to go recruit people. They don't come to me. I'm like, I'm coming to you.
I'm here.
I want to join. He goes, well, what do you want to do? I said, infantry. He's like, you're crazy. I'm like, infantry?
Yeah.
He's like, why not? I like guns. I like the outdoors.
You're
I like,
thinking there's nothing really going on? What am I going to
why
get
not?
into,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So he's like, well, take the ASVAB. I took the ASVAB. I scored 93 on the ASVAB. Highest you can get is a 99.
Yep.
So I had a book of jobs.
Yeah, you literally picked.
He hands it to me. He's like, here you go. I'm looking. I'm like, is infantry in there? He goes, well, yeah, but you can choose anything.
Those
like,
are for the guys that are scoring a 55, man.
right. Exactly.
Trust me, I got a 96, dude. I had everybody banging down my door.
Exactly. Yeah. But some of the smartest guys I've ever met were in the infantry.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
You have to know everything.
You do.
Like,
You got to be able to think on your feet.
yeah. Comms guys aren't going to be out there with us in a firefight
Nope.
and our comms go down. The mechanic's not going to be riding along with us when our truck gets blown up. We got to fix that on our own. Like, we're out there by ourselves.
You got to be freaking MacGyver, man.
Yeah.
Just
So
make it happen.
I was like, is infantry in there? He's like, well, yeah, but read the book. I'm like, infantry. He's like, no, seriously, read the book. I'm like, infantry. He's like, man, you're dumb. And he signs me up. And I go to basic and 9/11 happens while in basic. And we were actually back in our rooms. We were in the barracks and we were doing a cleaning day. And the drill sergeant comes running in with the TV on the stand, you know, the big thing.
Yeah.
He comes running in with it. I'm like, this isn't right. Like, we can't watch, we're not watching TV here. And he throws it in the front and he turns it on and you saw the second plane hit. And we're like, oh.
Yeah, something's happening.
He's like, this is real. I'm like, all right. He goes, who's got family in New York? A couple guys raise their hands. He's like, go call. I'm like, you can't make a phone call. They're like,
Yeah, that's
go
like
call.
against the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people were calling home that day. I mean, immediately. We watched the whole thing go down. He sits there and he goes, well, your training just got real. He goes, I will tell you right now, by the time your enlistments are up, at least one of you in this room will have died in combat. I was like, okay.
I mean,
Like, things just got real now, you know.
applaud
Like,
the brutal honesty.
oh yeah, he was actually, absolutely. I love him. I still talk to him, actually. That drill sergeant,
That's
Drill
awesome,
Sergeant
man.
Garcia. I still talk to him. He's out. He's retired.
Of course, yeah.
You know, but
Yeah, because he probably had 5-10 years
Oh,
in
he
at that
was-
point.
probably more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was ready.
Yeah.
I mean, he was getting ready to get out at that point.
Oh,
But
wow.
he was awesome.
It's
Just
awesome, man.
very honest with you. He wouldn't just scream at you just to scream at you. He would pull you aside and be like, listen, this is what you need to do. This is why you need to do it. This is how you need to do it. I'm like, okay.
I can level out with
And
that.
you learn by it, you know, like you learned with it. It wasn't just do push-ups because I said so. It was, this is why you're going to do this. Now you're still going to do push-ups, but like,
It's
he was
almost like
great.
that stern dad.
Yeah, yeah. He was I loved him. He was phenomenal.
It's awesome. Man.
Absolutely phenomenal.
So,
But yeah,
so 9/11 happens. When was your first deployment?
02, right after.
So right after.
Yeah, we went to Kosovo though.
Okay.
That was my first deployment. So I went to Kosovo and like we had a couple little things happen. Nothing crazy. But then we did the invasion in 03 and then again 05 and 08 and then Afghanistan in 10. So it was just
Right
one
after
the
another.
other. Yeah, and I was the guy that just kept raising my hand. They're like, well, who wants to go to this school? I was like, I'll go.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd come home from deployment, go to school, go to deployment, come home, go to 2 schools, go to deployment. It was just constant. Like that was just my life.
So what was the journey like to get to the sniper?
I mean, I was always a good shot. I qualified expert, never shot under. I think my worst ever shot was a 39 out of 40. So they're like, hey, you want to? I got asked. They're just like, you want to go to? First thing was squad designated marksman.
Okay.
So I went to that. Then they're like, hey, you want to go to pre-sniper school? Sure. So they sent me to pre-sniper school. Then I graduated that, and they said, hey, you want to go to actual sniper school? I'm like, yeah. Sent me to that.
It's awesome, man.
So, yeah.
Well, once again, thank you for your service. I think that not quite like the Vietnam guys, but we've just with the rhetoric that we have going on in our country today, it's just it wasn't something, and for you especially, it wasn't something you picked. I mean, you hear a lot of guys like J.D. Vance was just talking about literally last night about 9/11 happens.
And he
he's ready
joined,
to go.
yeah, absolutely.
And that was a big deal with that generation.
It was, absolutely.
Um,
Everyone I know, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's just what you did. I mean, you felt the call and you went.
Yep.
My brother was actually in his last week. They have like and I'm sure you know about this. I know a lot of military guys. I have a lot of friends who were in the military. I was not.
Okay.
But he was in his last week in Navy Basic when we got Bin Laden and they actually shut down the firefight drill.
Really?
And let them know. So kind of a similar situation where they're like, this is weird.
Yeah.
But they felt, strong enough about it that like we're gonna let these guys know.
Yeah.
And man, it's just it's amazing to me though, and let me ask you this because I think it's something that is valuable just to people in general. How do you feel like businesses or just organizations in general can build that camaraderie that you get inside the military? And I've asked this to several guys, and that's what they've said, right?
Yeah.
Because and just to give you some context, I've had it explained to me like this. He goes, man, I was talking to a Green Beret, actually had probably about the same time frame as you. I think he had joined in 96.
Okay.
And he was one of the smallest Green Berets to ever make it through. He's a little tiny dude. I don't even know how the hell he qualified, but he had some badass stories. And I asked him that, and he goes, the issue is you're not sending anybody in your organization to battle with the possibility of death.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. It's also you're not with them enough.
You're not living together.
Yeah. we live together.
Yes.
You eat, sleep,
24/7.
everything. You're there. You're together. You're trained together. You're always together. That you get to know their families, and you get done work and you go to a cookout at your buddy's place. And you're back with them.
They're legitimately family. That's the hard one.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants that. I think all organizations truly, small mom and pops especially though, want that.
Yep.
And that's what makes it a little difficult. What's been the happiest moment in your life?
Having kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
many
Hands
you got?
down. Two.
How old?
7 and 2 or 5. Wow, sorry. About to be 8 and 6.
Okay.
In a couple months.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're 2 years apart.
Awesome.
7 and 5. About to
Boy,
be 8 and
girl?
6. A boy and a girl.
Awesome.
My girl's oldest. She's 7, and she's going into 2nd grade. And then my son, he's 5, about to turn 6. He's going into kindergarten.
I've got a little. She just turned 2 months Wednesday.
Okay.
That's our first. So it's time
so fun.
flies, man.
Ooh, everyone tells me that, and I'm like,
You hear it, right?
I know, and then I'm like, wait, she's almost 8? What? Yeah, crazy.
So I'm following timeline right. You waited until after you're out of the military to have kids. So
Yes. Oh yeah.
Was that intentional? I take it.
Yes and no. I was married before, and then got divorced after the military. Weird story. I did it for the money.
I know several guys.
I got married. I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna last. Now, yes, but that one, no. So yeah, I'm glad we didn't have kids, and I didn't have time, honestly, because I was deployed or at school, or that's what I did. So I was always gone.
Yeah.
So I didn't have time.
That's cool though, man. And so how have the kids been involved with the nonprofit? Have you got them involved much yet?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
They're still a little young, but we have little gift bags that we give to all the vets. So we have different sponsors, and they send us stuff. So I'll lay everything out, and my kids will help pack the bags, and they love doing that. They'll pack the bags. They wear our shirts, and my daughter took some stuff like stickers and stuff in for a show and tell a couple years ago for a preschool. And she wanted to talk about what I do. Yeah, they loved outdoors and hunting and fishing, but they're not into the vet thing
yet. And of course, as young as they are, that's probably a stupid question for me to ask.
No, not at all.
It's I think it's super cool. So is your wife involved with the nonprofit?
A little bit. She helps when we need things. She just kind of does her thing and then lets me do what I have to do. And if I need help, she'll help, absolutely.
Yeah.
But as of right now, yeah, we're good.
What's been the hardest part about running the organization?
Oh, fundraising. Hands down, fundraising. I am not good at fundraising.
Is it the asking for money part?
Yeah, I'm not good at, hey, do you want to give me money? Like, this is what we do. Because there's so many organizations out there, and they're not doing it the right way.
Yes.
And there's a lot of veteran organizations out there that are playing the veteran card. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is what we do. Look who we are. Look at their 990 before you give money to them.
Yep.
Look at what how much money,
Where's their money go?
Goes back to the vets that they say they help.
Yep.
So 100% goes back. 100%.
I love it.
We don't get a penny out of it. And I pay out of pocket for most of the stuff. Just to get put it in perspective, last year we took out 189 veterans and family members. We did 44 events, and we did it on just under $20,000.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's amazing when you have a purpose.
Exactly. And I know organizations out there that they will say they'll do half the events we do, 20 plus events. Half of what we did. And if they're not raising $500,000 a year, they're not going to exist. I'm like, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Like, that makes zero sense to me.
Well, and
But they're driving brand new trucks.
yes.
They're all getting paid.
Yeah, and so not to completely go down this rabbit hole, but I play a lot of golf.
Mhm.
And in those golf scrambles, we've gotten the opportunity to see a lot of organizations. We've been title sponsors on a lot of them.
Sure.
I mean, which obviously most of that money goes back, if not all of it, to the organizations. And there's a few that, you know, I can tell that it's just not going the right way.
Yep.
You know, we just had one in our email. I'm not going to call them out because it's not worth my energy.
Sure.
But you can just tell when the money didn't go the right way. And when I got people offering to volunteer and you can't reach back out to them, it's like, did I just pay someone's salary?
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Because I have a team here. I mean, as an example, you know, we have signups. We do about one event a month. We'll go do as a team. And my team will fill it up.
Sure.
No questions asked. It's not a paid day. It's literally just a give back.
Yep.
You know, we'll supply all the if we're doing anything with it, like we fed the kids at the soapbox derby.
Okay.
And I donated we paid for all the food and everything. But my team donated their time.
Right.
And to me, that's worth more than anything else.
Absolutely.
Like, that's our most finite asset for them to be willing to go do that. So then when you try to help out an organization that you feel passionate about what they're doing and they don't even have the decency to give you a call back, it's like, okay, well, now the meal train stops. I'm cutting off my money.
Yeah.
And I know of a few veteran organizations that I've personally worked with and even been offered to sit on boards that same thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, it's just sad, man, because not to get into your personal business, but you're medically retired from the military.
Yep.
I'm sure it's not a great pension. Our government could take better care of you.
Yeah.
But
I make do with what we have,
But exactly. And you found a passion
project. This keeps me going. Honestly, doing what I do, as hectic as it is and as stressful as it is, I love it because it's my therapy.
Yes.
And I will go out on hunts with these vets, and I won't even touch a gun. I'm just out there. I'm helping them. I'm getting them.
To watch them.
And yes, exactly. And it's my therapy. It's your therapy out there too. That we're doing it for you to get your therapy, but it's mine too. You know, and
it's like
I love it.
I run a lot of retreats, or I'll go help at retreats, and I tell people all the time, I get more out of this than what I can give to you.
Yep.
You think I'm giving you a lot, and I am.
Yep.
I am. I know I am. But my cup is so full when I leave something like that. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And when you can find something like that you can pour into and get more back out of it,
yes,
it's invaluable.
Yes.
It's invaluable to you. And I think that too much we get that these folks are out here getting lost in the sauce, and they see these big dollars coming in. They're like, "That's my money."
We've run into organizations that they're saying, "Well, we're going to fight you because we want the money." I'm like, "We're in this together."
Yeah, if we have the same
if you want the money, have the money. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Money's relevant.
It's whatever. But why are you fighting me when we have the same purpose? We're trying to help vets. Period.
If that's your real purpose.
There you go.
And I have no problem calling people out on BS. That is.
Yeah.
I am at a point in my life where I have enough friends, Joe.
I'm good, right?
To me, bro. Like, as long as my daughter and my wife are at my house when I get home, my daughter's there to love me, I'm good, my man.
Exactly.
Like, I got no problem telling you how it is.
Yep.
And quite frankly, like, and it's been a kind of a little trend here on the podcast. You know, if we got some habitual listeners out there, we've had a lot of people with nonprofits, and I'll tell you, everybody I've had sitting in this chair, I feel good about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm a good people reader, man. Like, that's just who I am.
Yep.
I'll tell you who you are probably before you know who you are.
Yeah.
You know?
My wife always tells me that. She's like, just whatever you say, I trust you. You know how to read people.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what I did, you know, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, with your military background, I'm sure that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm rusty. I won't lie. I'm a little rusty on some things. There was a guy just recently that I met, and I thought he was a good person, and I started finding some things out. I'm like, ooh, you play a good front there, buddy.
It's amazing how good actors folks can be sometimes.
Yep.
And you know, so in 2020, I did a roof. I drove to Hagerstown, Maryland. We did a roof for a Navy vet.
Okay.
A Vietnam era Navy vet. He full disability. He living in a house trailer. I mean, just clearly living well within his means.
Sure.
And we did it with an organization. It was a great event. I met somebody that I can call a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Through that, he literally showed up in my driveway and hopped in the truck, and that's how we met.
Wow.
He found me on TikTok, and we jumped in the truck and drove out there. He's actually an Army vet too.
Okay.
And he owns Redbeard Seasonings. I don't know if you've heard of Brad Polachek.
I've heard of not the name, but I've heard of the company.
I'll gladly name drop them.
Yeah.
If you've never had their freaking steak and brisket seasoning, bro, we just had burgers with it last night. Chef's kiss. It is delicious.
Okay.
But so we went out there and did that roof. Well, then the organization called me back again. They said, "Hey, we have another vet that needs a roof," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." And it was in PA, Western or Eastern PA.
Okay.
I don't remember what town it was in. It was a haul. I mean, it was like 4 or 5 hours for me to get out there.
Okay.
So I'll come out. We'll take a look. We'll get an assessment on what's going on. It was a much larger project than this little trailer project because I just had somebody throw a tape measure on it. I ordered the material. We went out there and did it. And I get there, and this guy has 15 cars in his driveway. I mean, not great cars, but they're cars.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, he's got a really nice house. Clearly the roof's just been neglected.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, come on.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to help you. And that's what I told him. I flat out told him. I said, it's not that I don't want to help you. No. But the other guy who we helped had one car sitting in the driveway. I don't think it ran.
Right.
You know, just clearly just down on his luck, man.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Like, that's irrelevant to me. God doesn't call us to help those who have. Yeah. He calls us to help those who don't.
Absolutely.
And when I got there, and it kind of became a little bit of disdain with that organization because I'm going, guys, you're calling me out. Why aren't you doing a better job of vetting these folks before I make a 5-hour trip? Because I have no problem. Once again, zero issue helping.
Now, were you donating it, or
we would have donated it if it was truly a need?
Like, so, did the organization pay for it?
No, we donated the roof in Hagerstown. We were going to donate this roof. Like I said, that's been our passion project here.
Sure,
is kids and veterans. Yep. That's been our entire life's mission purpose. Every time we revisit it, it comes back to the same with the team that we have. Like, and even if the team's changed, so it's always been that way. And I was going to fully donate this roof to this guy. I was going to bring a team out. We were going to put it together. And I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, because, man, I haven't always had a lot. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, most of my life I've had a little.
Yeah.
Very recently have I became successful by most folks' measures. Yeah. I'm going, if I'm in your shoes and my family needs a roof over my house, I'm selling everything I can sell. And I'm getting the damn roof on the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
And had no will to do that. And I'm like, if you can't help yourself, how can I help you?
So, and he probably reached out and said, and gave a sob story.
I'm sure.
And we call them professional veterans.
Yes.
We get it all the time. You know, we do hunting and fishing. Now, we'll do anything we can.
Yeah.
We've done knife forging classes.
Okay. Anything in the outdoors.
Anything even. We don't care. We've done, we send vets to banquets, Whitetails Unlimited, Delta Banquet.
Yep.
Like, we'll buy a table and, hey, let's go. Bring them all with us. Love it. Whitewater rafting. We actually just did a family whitewater rafting event in Pennsylvania on past Friday.
No kidding.
And we had 37, I think it was, vets and family members.
That's awesome, man.
And then that was on Friday. Then Saturday we did the Pocono race.
Yep.
We got pit passes and VIP pit passes for 6
cool,
vets.
Man.
So we took them out there. But we'll do anything we can. We did a taxidermy class.
Okay.
We did a gun building class with an FFL. A guy came out, and he's actually a good buddy of mine. We were in the military together. He's a SF sniper.
That's awesome.
He now builds guns. He's a custom gun builder.
And who better to build a gun?
Yeah. So we paid for all the material. They had to buy their lower, so it's in their name. We didn't.
Yeah, keep it legal. Keep it legal.
Yes. Yep.
If you're listening, FFA.
Yep. Absolutely. We didn't do anything wrong. They bought everything on their own. All the FFL parts that they needed to, and then we paid for everything else: barrels, receivers, everything. And then had a class with them to sit there and, this is how you do it. This is
and parts. Yeah.
And they went home with a brand new gun that they built themselves.
Yeah, that's super.
Cool, we'll do anything we can.
So we're kind of on a topic here, and I want to talk about it. So it seems to me like you're probably much like my brother. My brother, if they ask, who's a veteran, he won't even acknowledge it. It's just not. It's not his thing.
Yeah.
But you also have those guys that they're still wearing freaking battle fatigues around and just look at me and who am I, and they're going out to every restaurant on freaking Veterans Day. And it's a small percent. It's a very, very small percent, but it's the ones that we see. Do you think that stems from, where do you think that comes from for those folks? Because I'm sure you probably even have buddies that you serve.
Oh, absolutely.
That are that way.
Yeah. I mean, I'll ask if I'm out somewhere, I'm like, hey, do you guys do a veteran discount? I'll always ask.
Yeah, of course.
If I can save a couple bucks,
that's a money move.
Right. I mean, I always ask. I ain't gonna lie. But if they say no, I'm like, cool.
You're not gonna freaking berate them about it.
And I got friends that do that, and it drives me crazy. I'm like, no. If they say no, cool.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to ask, right? That's what I say.
Yeah.
And then they give me a little sob story. Oh, we should. Blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's relevant.
I'm good. Don't worry about it.
If y'all haven't thought about it, it's all good.
I don't
Maybe
care.
I planted the seed so I can help out somebody else.
Yeah, I don't care.
It's all good.
Yeah. But, I mean, so we have people that do that, and I think it's just an entitlement thing.
Yeah.
I think I don't know why they're entitled, why they think they're entitled for it. I mean, you did what you did because no one forced you to do it.
I was getting ready to say.
Like, you weren't drafted like World War II guys, Vietnam.
World War II or Vietnam vets.
Yeah. You weren't drafted. You willingly raised your right hand and signed up.
Yeah.
Now, did we get treated the way we should have been with all the benefits that we should have had? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
What can you control? Right?
Nothing. Yeah. I did my job, and that was what I went for. It is what it is, man.
And I would even go back to the argument of like it's not like you were forced to do it and weren't compensated. Like I'm not saying that veterans or the military service members are compensated well, but you were still paid.
And I'm getting paid now.
Yeah.
My family's taken care of. We live good. Like we're not up here, but we're not down here either.
Yes.
And we have what we need.
And that's the problem with a lot of folks, and just in people in general. They just don't live within their means.
Right.
That's our world today. Like I seen. I wanted to question you about it. You're trying to send some folks to Africa.
We are. Yeah.
And or you're not. You're trying. You're going.
We're going to.
Yeah. We don't.
We're going
play
to
the try game. Right?
No, we're doing it. We're doing it.
And I'm the guy that's always giving people shit about it. But with the. I was in Africa last September.
Okay.
Served on a short-term mission there.
Oh, nice.
Did a week, and you watch these people that have literally nothing, and they're making $15 a week.
Yeah.
And they have nothing, and they're still happier than people here.
Yes.
Because we're too busy and too worried about everything else everybody else does.
Yes. Yes. We just did Mexico, so same as Africa.
Okay.
We came back from Mexico on a turkey hunt in. Whatever, I think it was April, and we tipped the guides, we tipped the staff, the chef, the waiter, we tipped everyone at the little lodge that we were at, and one of the guys that was there wasn't a vet. It was a vet hunt that we took. We took one vet with us, but we were there with other clients.
Yeah.
Now the one guy, and I doubt he'll ever listen, but he was a private. He sells private jets.
Okay.
To companies.
He's doing all right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In his 70s, been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah, he's doing just fine.
Billion-dollar jets he's selling. Billion-dollar jets. And he's making a commission off of that, like 20% commission. I'm like, yeah, you're doing well, dude.
Yeah,
Every hunt, everything we would talk about, he's like, oh, I did that hunt 5 times. Oh, I went here 3 times. I did this. Okay. Well, it came time to tip the staff. And at the end of the hunt. So the maid, all she did, she come in every day, she made your bed, and then she mopped the floors.
Yeah.
I gave her $20 or $50. I left $50 for 4 days. And everybody gives $50. That's decent money for 4 days of making a bed and mopping a floor.
Even here, that's decent money.
Right, right. So we left her $50 each. He's like, 10. 10's fine. I'm like, well, you do you, man. So we went to tip the chef. You've never eaten better in your life.
Yeah,
this dude was amazing. I gave him $100. I gave, and everyone $100, $100. That was just what you do. That was like the standard.
Yeah.
And he gave $50 to split between the chef and the server. And he got called out on it by the owner.
Somebody should.
Yeah. She called him out, and he was so mad. I'm like, of all the people that don't have the money, or that has the money, that can do this, you should be tipping double what we're tipping.
It's all relative, man.
But these people, they were so happy.
And the gratitude was probably phenomenal.
And come to find out, their basic monthly wage, without what we're doing, is like $300 a month.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're giving them $100 each for 4 days of work.
They're doing great.
Then they're so thankful.
Yes.
And they're just everything. We went to the one guy's house when we went into town when we were driving back. We stopped at his house to whatever. He's like, "Oh, come in, help make yourself a home. We're here for 5 minutes." He's like, "I know, make yourself a home. My house is your house." Like, they were so nice.
Yes.
So accommodating.
Yes. They're beautiful people, man. I mean, genuinely. And we just don't have that mentality here. We have people come over to our house to come visit or whatever, and we want them out fast as to be.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, when we were in Africa, man, they're inviting us into their house. They didn't have much.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got freaking sheds that are nicer than their house.
Yeah. But they're thankful for it.
But they show so much gratitude for it. And it's a curse that we live here. I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm just telling my daughter, she's 2 months old, I'm saying, you won the genetic lottery, sweetheart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, genuinely, just being born on this soil.
Absolutely.
It gives you a leg up in the world. Yeah. And for folks to be too worried about the next pair of Nikes or the biggest flat screen TV or whatever your thing is, nicest truck, to be worried about that and not realize that there's so much else going on in the world. I mean, once again, I'm very fortunate that I've been able to travel as much as I have.
Sure.
But once you see those circumstances, you go, okay, like, this is worse than anything we've got. I mean, even our lowest of low.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't care if you're homeless. You're probably still sleeping in a better box than most people in the world.
Yeah.
As crappy as that is for me to say.
Absolutely.
But we don't think about it in that perspective because we're too busy, and our phones play a role in that because we're watching everybody else live these freaking debt-filled lifestyles.
Yep.
And we're too worried about everyone else.
Yep.
But with that gentleman that you're referencing, I don't know if you've read the book, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman.
I've heard of it.
Okay, you should read it. And your wife should read it as well. It's a game changer, man. My wife and I have been fortunate enough. We actually got to spend some time with him on a retreat. And one of the 5 love languages is gift giving. Mm-hmm. So this reminded me, he said, gift giving is relative. And let's say that, you don't have much. And your wife's love language is gift giving. It could be as simple as buying her a $2 box of chocolate. Yep. But if you're doing all right, it's no longer a $2 box of chocolate.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying it's a Mercedes-Benz in the driveway, but you better be buying her something nice. That's because she knows the situation.
Yep.
And when you have somebody like that, it's no different in that situation. When you have somebody that is living modestly, and then you have a gentleman who's doing very affluent. Yeah. And it's not relative. And I'm not saying, like, your money's your money, man. Like, by all means. Yeah. But show some gratitude.
Absolutely.
Show some gratitude for what you have.
Yeah.
If nothing else, is what you're doing. Dave Ramsey says it's the best. No one has ever gone broke for being too generous.
True.
Nobody.
Yeah. What comes around goes around.
It does. It's all freaking cast out in the world, whatever you want to say.
Yep.
It comes
I believe
back
in
to
karma. I believe in, it happens for a reason, and I absolutely do. Yes. And you're good to people, you're going to get good things in return.
It's only going to happen. Like, it's not going to happen.
I absolutely.
And, man, the small-mindedness in that situation is mind-blowing to me. Yep. It's mind-blowing to me. What's been the coolest event that you guys have got to put together?
Ooh. Goodness. Oh, man, I don't know. There's so many good ones.
What's your most memorable? Like, what's the one that comes to mind? What's your favorite?
So I think the two, there's two.
Okay.
Mexico turkey that we just did. Unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. Hands down. It was the most pricey one we've ever done.
Yeah.
But it was unbelievable.
You get what you pay for?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. And, it is. We went to a lodge. We went to,
Yeah.
that's
a full
worldwide
service.
pursuit. That's what they do. That's their thing. Unbelievable. But he gave us a great deal, and he donated a hunt. We're going to be raffling that hunt off coming up.
Awesome.
That's why we went with him, and now we made lifelong friend with the guy, and we're going back every year. But the other one would be Alaska.
Oh, Alaska.
We did a duck hunt in Alaska, November, just past November. Unreal. Unreal.
Just the whole landscape of it.
Yes, and we were only in
Anchorage?
No,
Juneau?
no, it's like the
One of the southern islands there.
yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Man, it just drew a blank. I can picture it where it was. You have to take a ferry when you land. You take a ferry over to the island. Ketchikan.
Okay.
Ketchikan.
I was thinking that
Yep.
that's something like that.
Yeah, so it was in Ketchikan. So, I mean, it was south. It wasn't, Alaska by any means, but unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Alaska's second to none, man. That's one of the places that's on my bucket list.
You need to go. We did, my wife and I actually, you talk about a retreat, my wife and I did a marriage retreat with Operation Heal Our Patriots.
Okay.
If you know who Franklin Graham is.
Yeah.
So it's his thing. He runs that. That's his organization. And they have their own private island in Alaska.
In Alaska?
Yeah. So
I didn't know you get a private island in Alaska.
Well, you have money. Well, you have that kind of money. You can. Yeah. So we flew into Anchorage, and then we took a bush plane to the island, and then the only way to the island, obviously, was to fly in.
Of course.
That was it. So everywhere we went was either by boat or by the pontoon planes.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. A week in there, you each have your own private cabin on the island, right there on the water.
With your best friend, even better. Right?
It was unbelievable. It was a big time marriage retreat that we did. It was religious, obviously, because it was Franklin Graham. But unbelievable.
I love it.
If you can go, you need to go. The sightseeing alone. We would fish every day, hike every day. Unbelievable.
That's awesome, man. I'll have to actually check that out. See if they're doing something, or just in general, man. I gotta go to Alaska.
Yeah.
What is the biggest event you're going to put on? I'm big on manifesting, man.
So, as for a biggest event, as in fundraising event or in hunt?
Biggest to you, man.
So, I guess.
Seem like you got a big vision.
I do. I have an end goal, and I can tell you the end goal here, but I'd say my biggest fundraising event, obviously, our banquet, because that's our first one we're ever doing. So to me, it's huge. That's going to bring in money, I hope. But our hunt is the Africa hunt we're going to do next year.
Awesome.
July 2025. We're taking 4 vets and their spouse. So we're not just taking the vet, because a lot of these things we do, we just take the vet, which is great for them. They come home, the spouse will say, "Hey, you're a changed person." What's in it for them?
Yeah.
The spouse has to deal with with us all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we need something for them too. So we're trying to include them more.
I love it.
So we're doing Africa with their spouse.
Africa would be blast, man. You love Africa.
Can't wait.
You love Africa. What's the end goal?
So, I want property here in this area with a lodge.
Okay.
And I want to bring vets to us. I want to have them come here.
Fence hunt?
No,
Okay.
just property. But I want to put a lodge on it. I want to be able to bring them here. I want to be able to work with our local church and do marriage retreats. I want to be able to have the family come and stay, spend a weekend and get away. Just by yourself, whatever you want to do. Get a van where we can shuttle back and forth to Lake Erie. We fishing trips as much as we want, duck hunting up there. I guide up there. So, I mean, we have anything we want up there. But we also have land here where we can do deer and turkey on. And then just bring vets to us.
Awesome.
Set up wood shops and, have them learn a skill. We do the taxidermy class in there, do the gun building, do a forge. Like, bring them here.
Give them something, give them a new purpose.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, and this is cool with the podcast too, like, I think that's what happens a lot with vets.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they go down dark places.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they lose
lose that purpose.
Lose who they are.
Yes.
You got a guy like you who, all you knew was the military at that point. 14 years in, man, that's you.
Yeah.
That's all you are.
Yep. And honestly, going to combat was easy.
Yeah.
It was the easiest thing I've ever done. Live. That's it. Don't get killed.
Yep.
Okay. And I come back here and you're like, well, you have this, you have this, you have this, you have this. You have to worry about this bill. You have this coming up. Not in combat.
No.
This is my job. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing.
I love it.
You die, you die.
Yeah.
Don't get killed. That's my goal.
Keep your buddies alive. Don't get killed, right?
Yeah. It was easy. But coming back here, it's tough. It really is. And that transition, you don't have that camaraderie like you had before. You don't have that brotherhood, that sisterhood. Like going back to the beginning, you don't live together anymore. Now you're with all these other people.
And you don't have the structure either.
The structure's huge.
It's one thing the military has, and a lot of guys.
I got up in the morning, I knew what I was wearing.
Yes.
I knew exactly what I was putting on.
That's what you're taught at basic.
Yeah. Get up, be here at this time, in this uniform. That's it. Yeah.
And I'm probably going to consult with you a little bit because I'm working on a book right now called Identity Crisis.
Okay.
And it's literally based around that entire philosophy and theory. Because I think when we get ingrained into something and we put our entire identity in that, we lose who we are.
Yeah.
Whether that's serving the military, being a parent, being a business owner, being running a nonprofit. Yeah. When that thing goes away, we lose our identity.
Yeah.
And we enter into an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Which ultimately puts us in a really dark place.
Yep.
It's I tell people all the time, and this is something you've probably already figured out, but we can't derive our happiness from other things.
Yeah.
There's only one thing in the world that can provide me with happiness, and that's me.
Yeah.
Not saying my wife and my daughter can't sprinkle in some extra happiness.
Sure. But it all is, it's in here and in here.
Yes. My daughter, she's 2 months old. She's not going to disappoint me today, but there's going to become a time in her life when she's going to disappoint me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a fact.
Yep.
She's going to do something stupid.
Yep.
And I pray to God it's not anything, outlandish. I pray it's something that, is not life-altering for her.
Yep.
But she will disappoint me. It could be as simple as leaving the refrigerator door open. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if I'm hinging my entire happiness on her existence and being perfect or whatever,
yep.
What happens when it's not?
Yeah.
My wife and I, we met in a weird way. Really weird way. And it can't be explained in anything other than God. Just the way the timeline and events worked out. But it's amazing to me, and I tell a lot of young men this, men in general, because they're the ones that typically are like worried. We don't project it, right? Like we're like, I'm a man, I'm gonna do this and that.
Right.
But we don't say, hey, we want to settle down and find somebody. We don't ever want to say that.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem masculine.
Yep.
But I tell a lot of young men, I'm like, let it be in God's time, not yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because maybe she's not ready, dude. Yep. I was ready for 3 years before she was ready. She broke up with her boyfriend the week before we met.
Wow.
It's wild. And we met freaking, what would that be, 500 miles away from home in Nashville, Tennessee. And she lived in Norwalk.
Wow.
Yeah. On a weekend, on Good Friday, of all things. And then I moved in on Easter Sunday. We've been together ever since.
Wow.
Got a beautiful baby girl. Been
That's
together
awesome.
for 3 years.
Good for you.
Married for 18 months. Yeah, man.
Good for you.
Thank you. But
that's awesome.
But if I would have met her earlier, I would have screwed it up.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
I'm self-aware enough, dude. I was a freaking idiot. Same thing you probably say for your wife by the sounds of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, like with my kids.
Yes.
I'm like, man, I have friends that, they have 18, 20-year-old kids. I have friends from high school that are grandparents now.
Yes.
They had kids right out of high school or in high school, and now that their kids are having kids, and I'm like, I have a 5-year-old as my youngest. like, man, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like, I lived my life. You didn't live your life.
Yeah.
I got friends now. Like I said, they're the one girl that I knew in high school, we were dating for a long time. Like, her kid just graduated. We dated all through high school, and she had a kid right out of high school, and now he just graduated high school, and she's free.
Yeah.
And she's traveling and doing all this stuff.
But
I'm
like
like,
you said,
I did all that.
You don't live life.
Yeah, I didn't have the money to do that back then. Like, I can't imagine raising kids 20 years ago.
And when you're
15 years
when
ago.
you're still a kid.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I sure didn't know what I was doing then. You know, like, I can't imagine. So thank God I didn't have kids back then.
But do you think it's wild? This is something I've come into perspective with. I was just having this conversation literally with my wife last night. It's crazy to think you live life without your kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like from the day they're born.
Oh, yeah. Like, how did we do this without you?
As hard as it is some nights and all that stuff, you know, especially when they're little.
Yep.
But how did I not have this precious little baby in my life?
Yeah. I didn't think you could love something more.
No.
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
No, dude.
Unreal.
No.
I love my wife.
Yes,
but,
I love my wife. I don't know if I kill for my wife, but I kill for my kids. I kill for your kids, for that matter.
Man. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like I don't know how. Like my daughter, she's daddy's girl.
Yeah.
She is. She's a daddy's girl. Like that's my son. He's still mama's boy, but he likes to hunt and fish and be out in the outside with me when we're doing wood. And he's always outdoors, but he's a mama's boy. Something happens, mommy.
Which is fine.
Yeah, whatever. But my daughter is a daddy's.
As long as you got one.
Yeah, my daughter is a hardcore daddy's girl.
I love that.
She wants nothing but me. Like, love it. Oh.
What'd you think when you found out you were having a girl?
Oh, I was a little upset. I'll be honest. So it was our first one, and I was like, man, I want a boy so bad. But I
think it's just natural, isn't it?
Yeah. I couldn't imagine not having her.
I know.
Like, there's no way.
I honestly don't even know if I could, like, she's our first.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have a boy first. Now that I have a girl.
Yeah.
And she don't even really have a personality, but I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I'm a girl dad, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's good.
I love it. Oh man, my buddy just had he just had a little girl, maybe a year ago now, and he was all upset. I'm like, dude, you have no idea. You have no idea. It's the best thing ever.
Yes.
Best thing ever.
Yeah. And it's but it's wild though, man, because I think as men, especially as men who have lived a lot of life, I think that feeling of wanting to have a boy comes from a place of fear more than anything, because I don't want to say it's harder to raise a daughter, but it is to a degree.
I don't know.
When we think about it, I'm talking about altruistically, like if you go back to you 9 years ago in your thought process. We think about it that way, right? Yeah. Because we're like, well, I've got to protect her from the world. Like, right? She's this soft little sweetheart. Yep. I'm going to make sure no boy breaks her heart. I'm going to, and we can't, ultimately. It's going to happen. Yep. Absolutely. But I think that's where that place of fear comes from, because they're more gentle. They're more loving. They're more, there's something there. Yeah. And not saying that little boys aren't that at all, quite frankly. Yeah. I think that us having this tough masculine shell and saying that men don't cry is silly. Yeah. Yep. I cry once a week, man. Especially now that I got my daughter. Like, I was singing to her in the kitchen the other night, and she giggled at me, dude, and I just started bawling. Like, I'm good. Yeah. Like, I'm good with me. But, like, I think that's where that comes from. And also, we know how boys are raised. Like, we're boys. Yeah. Well, so we're like, we know how boys work. I can navigate a boy's life. Yeah. But I think those guys that have that little bit of burning desire, like I said, it wasn't from a place of disappointment for me. It was more from a place of, like, fear, I think, now that I've looked at it in perspective. Yeah. You know? And like I said, now that I've got her, bro. Oh. My wife and I were literally talking about that. We're like, we don't even know if we want a boy now. I want somebody to carry my name on, don't get me wrong, like, as a man, but, like. I was happy when we found out the second one was a boy. But at the same time, I'm like, I'd be okay with another girl. Yeah, bro. Like, once you got one, you're like, it's fine. Yeah. Like, my brother and I were talking the other day. He's got a little boy, and he's like, I don't know if I want a girl. I think it's just once you get that, you're like, yeah. You're like, I know how boys work now. Yeah. Like, I get that, you know?
I mean, mine are only 2 years apart, so she was still we were still in that learning
Yeah.
phase. I mean, it was only 2, but I mean, having both, I'm good. But at the same time, watching them play now as they're older, like it would be good to have 2 of each, you know. But I don't want more. No way. No way. I'm good. I'm too old for that. Yeah, I'm good.
Don't want to be grandpa.
Not at all. Not at all.
I had a friend in high school. Her dad came to pick her up, and she was the last of 5 kids, and he was in his late 60s at that point. And I remember the principal said, "Oh, Grandpa Bob's picking." His name was Wayne. I don't even know what the dude picked up Grandpa Bob. And we joked about it forever. We called him Grandpa Bob every time we seen him, but we always joked, we're like, we don't want to be those parents, right?
Yeah.
And you don't, because you want to be able to see your grandkids. You want to be able to live a little bit of life after your kids and just enjoy life with them.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think that, even for those folks that had kids young, like my parents had me when they were 20.
Yeah.
They were both 20, didn't have any idea what they were doing. They're divorced now, and they had a lot of growing up to do when they had me. Like, quite frankly, they were still kids. Like, I think if I had I'd have a 10 and 9-year-old right now. I'd be done having kids, actually, if I was both my parents.
Absolutely.
They have 5 total.
Yeah.
And I'd have 5 kids right now. I'm thinking, how in the hell did they do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
But you made it work.
Right. Like, I wasn't mature enough back then. I'm still trying to figure out
maturity. I'm still not mature, man.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
You're only as young as you feel.
Right. Well, so all right. I'm about 80.
So that 19-year-old kid, right?
But yeah, I can't imagine doing it 15 years ago.
No.
Even 10 years ago. And it was she's almost 10. I mean, she's going to be 8.
But that goes back to our conversation. There's no such thing as coincidence.
Yeah.
It's like too often you hear folks that they're trying forever to have kids and they can't, and my heart breaks for them. Mm-hmm. But like also too, like as soon as they decide to adopt, then all of a sudden they get pregnant because they stop worrying about it. Stop worrying about it all of a sudden, and it's crazy though, because like let it happen in God's time. That's all it is, man.
Absolutely.
Once you make that acceptance that I'm okay.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah. I tried to have kids with my ex-wife. Near the end, we thought, well, maybe if we had a kid,
that's gonna fix things, right?
Yeah, that's what we kind of thought. Because now my deployments were over. I was done. I was out of the military. Now we're living together. So we got married. My first wife, right? We get married on a Sunday. The following Sunday, I left for Iraq. So we're 1 week. Literally 1 week we were together.
Basically roommates, essentially.
Yeah. Came home I was there for 16 months, 17 months. Came home for 5-ish, and I was back. Yeah. And I left again. So
it wasn't really a marriage.
The first 2 years of our marriage, we were together for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah,
it was good.
Great.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was a good marriage. And then, I was deployed for another year plus, and then I got hurt. And then I was in rehab not Walter Reed, but Fort Meade, because Walter Reed was full. So they put me over to Fort Meade, which is right next door. So I was there for forever, and she was still in Pennsylvania, and like it was just, I was doing my thing with the military, like going through all my stuff. And then I come back, and now we're together, and I'm like, no.
And I hope you don't get offensive with this, but it reminds me of like a prison marriage almost, right?
Yeah.
Like you get married while you're in prison.
Yeah, you're like,
that's cool. Every once in a while.
Yeah. But we decided, hey, maybe if we have kids. So we tried to have kids. Couldn't have a kid. She could not have a kid. And it was her. Turns out it was her. I can have kids.
Clearly,
I had good kids.
You're doing all right.
I was doing good. So it was her. We ended up getting, we just separated because I was like, I'm not even going through the divorce process. I don't even care. Get out. So she moved out. I kept the house. Everything was great. It was a perfect divorce. Like, no issues, nothing. We did it online. It was $200.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, $200. Online lawyer. Amazing. He does all the paperwork, mails it to me. I sign it, mail it to her. She signs it, mails it back to the lawyer.
Done.
$200.
No kidding. I didn't even know you could.
As long as you all agree and everything's.
Yeah, as long as you don't get nasty about it.
And there was nothing to split up because we did it all on our own. Easy.
Yeah.
So we had no issues. But we didn't even get divorced then. And you were talking about meeting your wife, like by like a weird coincidence. That's how I met mine. my current one.
Yeah.
My buddy invited me to a bar. I was like, I don't do the bar scene. It's just not my thing. Like, because it was a band playing, and it wasn't like it was too many people, too loud, too crowded. It's just not my thing.
Yep.
It's just not my thing. I'd rather drink beer in my basement than sit at a crowded bar and try to yell across the table.
Yeah.
You know,
no conversations.
It's just not my thing, and it's too much. So I was like, I'm not going. Finally, he talked me into it. I was like, fine, I'll go. So he's like, all right. So I wasn't going to go that day. Like, it comes up to it, to the point where I have to leave. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going. I'm just going to tell him I forgot about it. And he texts me. I'm like, fine,
Can't
I'll
forget
go.
now.
All right. So I get my truck and I drive over to the bar. I get there, packed. No room in the parking lot. I'm like, there's no room to park. I guess I got to go home. So I was like, I'll do one lap. So I do a lap. I'm like, if no one comes out and there's no spot in my one lap, going home. Come around, I'm about to finish the lap, and a car pulls out. I'm like, all right. So I park. I'm like, all right, well, here's number 2. So now I'm like, I didn't see his truck.
So you think he's not there?
So I text him. I'm like, hey, are you here? And if he says no, I'm going home.
Yep.
Took him a minute, but he texted me back. He goes, yeah, we're inside. I'm like, I don't see your truck. He goes, no, we brought my wife's car. I'm like, He goes, she brought a friend. I'm like, all right.
Well, these deals, huh?
Yeah. Well, it was,
yeah.
They whatever. So I go in the bar and there's one seat at the table. They had this big table with all these people sitting around it, and there was one seat, and it was next to my wife.
That's wild.
My now wife.
That's wild.
Yeah. I was like, I sat down and she had no interest whatsoever, and I wasn't even divorced yet. We were just separated. And she's like, are you married? I'm like, yeah, but I'll never get married again. And she's like, oh.
One of those guys, huh?
Yeah. And just next thing you know, here we are.
That's super cool.
Yeah, moved out to Ohio with her.
It's wild how that stuff works out.
Yeah.
And I think that's, so like you were saying with the relationship and trying to fix it with a kid. And people try to fix relationships with superficial things. And I'm not saying kids are superficial. Like, once again, I don't think any kid's a mistake. I don't think any kid, they happen for a reason. But when you try to fix something that's broken with something that's going to make it harder, what are you fixing?
Exactly. Yeah. And I thank God I didn't have kids, because we get divorced. Now you're screwing
stuck.
that kid.
You're stuck there, or whatever.
Yeah. But you're messing up with that kid's life.
Yes.
Dual parents.
Now he's in a broken home and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of good situations. I'm a product of a broken home, and I think it worked out for me.
Yeah.
But I've never wanted that for my kids.
Yep.
Ever. And I was in a 9-year relationship with a girl that I dated all through high school.
Yeah.
And same thing, man. I'm so thankful that nothing ever came of that as far as that goes. It ended not very amicably, to say the least.
Yeah.
And man, it's just wild how that stuff can work out. For the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't force it.
Yeah.
You guys were going to force having a kid. What was that going to fix?
Absolutely nothing.
It was going to make it worse, quite frankly.
100%.
Because now you got a kid, you got someone else's life involved.
Yep. Yeah.
And no, it's
That's going back to being young and immature.
Yes.
Not knowing, not being. Yeah.
But like I said, the teacher's always quiet during the test, so don't necessarily think God's not got a hand in it, because there was a reason she didn't get pregnant.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
For whatever reason, knew that wasn't going to work out, and it's just man. I think that too often people don't want to. Our society nowadays, especially, they want to just throw away a marriage, and I'm not saying that's what you did at all. But yours was a solution for you in that moment. Yeah. My brother had buddies that did the same thing, where they got married to get that couple extra bucks on their paycheck, basically. And man, you can't do like that. Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. And again, going back, being immature, not knowing and not realizing, and I'm sure faith had something to do with it then too, because I wasn't like I'm more religious now than I was back then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure that was part of it, you know.
Oh, 100%. My wife and I literally didn't find a church till after we were married, and now we're super involved with our church. And that was our big thing. Like, we were like, we're getting ready to have kids. I want a place for my daughter to be able to go. That's my whole thought process.
That's why we did it.
Hyper involved. Like,
yep.
But it wasn't a means to an end for us. It was this is the direction we want our family to go in.
Yep.
And God had a hand in that for you guys. He had a hand in it for us.
Yep.
It's just crazy how everything can be so intertwined in our lives.
Yeah. And
I think that's really the core purpose for me for this podcast is that we all have a story.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a ton more.
Oh, yeah.
To your story, man. But, being that we can't sit here for the next 24 hours and talk.
Yeah.
We both can't get all of our stories out. And as we come to the close, man, I'd like to open up the floor at the last couple of minutes. If there's anything else that you'd like to share that we haven't talked about, this is your time.
I mean, I think we covered a lot, and all over. I think that was my passion is UVA, Ultimate Veteran Adventures. That's my passion. That's what I want to get out, I guess. The word and what we do.
Awesome, man. I'll tell you this. I don't do this for businesses, but I do this for nonprofits. How can folks get involved with UVA? What can the audience do to help?
A big thing for us is spread the word. Let people know who we are, that we exist, that we are here. Just who we are, what we do. Spread the word. If funding is our big thing, I'm not good at going out and asking for it. I'm not good at raising the money. Unfortunately, we have a 5-man board, and one of us does majority of the work. So it gets stressful at times. But funding, if you know people, that's our big thing. Funding and spreading the word.
Do you guys have a Facebook page?
We do. Yeah, it's Ultimate Veteran Adventures on Facebook. Our website, ultimateveteranadventures.org. Email joe@ultimateveteranadventures.org. We reach out on any of those, and we'll get right back to you.
Well, and we'll drop your socials as well as the socials for the organization in the description. Y'all. I think that what they're doing. I know when I've been in a dark place in my life, somebody lending out a helping hand, and just like that phone call that you got to go fishing, it can change. So it can make all the difference.
Yep.
It can make the difference between someone being here today or not. And that's why I think that what you guys are doing is so important there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've got a lot of stories of vets that we've taken out that have said the same thing, and they're like, "Hey, when you call me, I had a gun. Like this is it." And
that's what it's all about, man.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about. It all happens through the grace of God, and we're thankful for what you do. Thankful for what you're doing. Thankful for what you've done.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Really do appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
As we wrap up everything, guys, as I always say, if you didn't get something out of today, you need to go back and rewatch this thing. I think there's definitely some stories here that can help to enhance your life. And hey, if you got something out of today, share this episode with a friend that hasn't taken a listen. Maybe somebody that you know that's in a weird spot in their life that they can use some of the knowledge that we dropped on you guys today. You just continue to whittle it down. What's your purpose? What are you doing what you're doing for? That's really what the essence of this podcast is. So, without further ado, keep asking yourself, what's your why?